Well, the last night of July, the 31st, of course, and the first decent night for a few nights actually that's warranted putting the trap on. Some nights have certain fields. If you come outside and the fields, there's a bit of a chill to the air or dampness. Quite often it's not worth bothering. And especially from urban locations, in your own garden. But garden trapping does have certain benefits. Safety is one. I think most people are completely safe in their own gardens. 2, you're not lumping a great big heavy generator around with you into the car, driving there to your site, and then pumping the generator out of the car again. Whether you do it as soon as you get home, we always used to, if we didn't leave it in the boot of the car. And then, or if you didn't do it straight away, you had to do it the following morning. So you got safety. Yeah, no heavyweight lifting. 1 and 2 moths coming in now. Other benefits are you're close to food, close to drink. You can sit here and have a pint. You can sit and have several pints. Now, I've always liked and did the same. We always liked to sit with a light. Never run the trap, unattended. Occasionally, might be running it home and nipping for a quarter of an hour, depending on the time of year. If it's a quiet time of year, like late autumn or early in the spring, often it's not worth sitting by the light, to be honest. I mean, the downside to trapping from home is that you won't trap so many species and you won't trap so many moths. So it's often a more steadier pastime, moth trapping from home. And it's not really worth doing unless you're close to a woodland somewhere, living on the outskirts of Nottingham or whatever, and there's some woodland or habitat fairly close to you, within a mile or so. Then it's not worth running the trap too much during the early part of the year, because you're going to struggle to catch something. So it can be disappointing, so you have to be prepared for that. But I enjoy trapping from home. Garden list now on 510 species. Took a while, well, it took 6.5 years to get to 500 species. But for a terrace garden, I don't think that's bad in the middle of a town. But it is enjoyable. And it's easy just to pack up and put away your equipment. And you will be surprised at what species you get. Although if you like trapping large numbers of moths, I can never understand these people why they run 5 or 6 traps and if they're on their own in one site. That's, well, there can't be any enjoyment in that personally, and I can't see the point personally again of running a trap all night unattended and then having to get up at the ridiculously early hours of the morning to empty it. The enjoyment you get when you know that a rare moth has just come in, and you've probably sat and watched it come in, and people often laugh at first, but you can tell a species as it's flying in. 9 times out of 10 you know exactly what it is as it's flying in to the light. People don't believe it sometimes, but they're probably the ones that don't sit by the trap. So as we have a view of the garden, I think I best see what's come in. There's a steady stream of moths dropping in now, dusky sallow. Nothing spectacular to show you. Although dusky sallow is a beautifully marked moth. But for the last day of July, you get the feeling that it's the start of the autumn period. And certainly this year and last year, I've noticed that moths seem to be having a shorter flight period. And contrary to popular opinion, we have had, a lot of good weather last year and a lot of good weather this year as well. It might be in patches, but when it's really good weather, many species of moths are over and done with in regards to flight time, so the adults, in quite a short space of time. And there's one or two of the species that are turning up this evening that are more indicative of late August and September. Thankfully it's not underwing season yet, where you get hordes of yellow underwings of various sizes crashing in to the wall and the trap and disturbing everything. Large yellow underwings are like the thugs of the moth world. We're also not in spider season yet, thank goodness, otherwise I wouldn't be crouched here. We can be sat at home, or just across there in the chair where I sit, and all of a sudden there'll be an absolutely enormous male house spider come trundling along the path towards you, or across the path. There was one a few years ago when Dennis was still alive, and by God, it was like 4 of the Tiller girls running past. I've never seen a house spider with such huge long legs. And kids, if you don't know who the Tiller girls were, ask your granddad. Anyway, it's very pleasant here, into a breath of wind. Decent array of moths that's coming in. So we will carry on. A bit later in the evening, I thought I'd give you a different view. I'm considerate. And there's a good range of moths coming in. It's steady. No really big numbers, if anything. Marbled beauties, the commonest, which is approaching 20. But I've had 2 new species for the garden, one of which is Caloptilia stigmatella. So it's continuing promising. Takes the garden list on to 512. And there's 1 or 2 moths knocking around in the garden. But that's the joys of having, or joys and the benefits of having nectar-bearing plants in your garden. It attracts them. So we'll see what else is going to come in.